Live from Cool Boys Central.
You're the boss now, man. I'm boss up here.
From bat tips to bat nips, we are just cool boys revisiting Batman, the animated series, and wearing hats. This is Batman and Beyond, a Cool Boys podcast.
I see Batman and Beyond.
You know what, Steve? I need to warm you up. Buddy. I need to warm you up first. You ready?
Are you talking to me? What do you mean?
Yeah, I'm talking to you, big guy. I'm talking to you.
I thought you were
okay?
just going to start reading.
Nah. I need to warm you up.
You don't need to warm me up. No,
You need it,
I'm
big
good,
guy.
buddy.
You need it. Ready? Here we go, Steve. Greetings, Cool Boy Nation, and welcome to another installment of Batman and Beyond.
Oh, when are we going to hit play on the video?
A Cool Boys podcast. I'm Ballard.
Don't we have all these in the can?
Yeah, but some of them are nice to have like an original one every once in a while.
All right. And I'm Steve.
So cool, Steve. Tonight's episode is, if you're so smart, why aren't you rich?
Woo woo!
This episode is directed by Eric Radomski and written by David Wise. This episode also released on November 18th, 1992, a weekday. But then, January 3rd, 1993, in prime time, this week's villain is the Riddler.
Yeah, your favorite.
I fucking love it. I am so happy.
You've been so excited for Riddler.
I'll just get into it later. I know. I've been like so excited this whole time, and I'm finally able to burst. I'm going to burst, Steve. I'm going to burst like a bubble. All right. Steve, Wikipedia says Edward Nygma creates the video game The Riddle of the Minotaur for the company Competitron. That's a horrible name for a company.
I love this video game.
I do too, but I hate the company's name. Competitron just sounds so evil corporation. But so then it continues. When I interject my own bullshit, it ruins the whole read. Sorry. Might as well start that one over. Edward Nygma creates the video game The Riddle of the Minotaur for the company Competitron, but is fired by his superior Daniel Mockridge, who wants the profits for himself.
Classic.
Nygma vows revenge and takes up the mantle of the Riddler. Whoop whoop. 2 years later, while Batman sympathizes with Nygma, he and Robin find themselves forced to stop him before he kills Mockridge in a life-size version of the Minotaur maze.
I didn't really think he sympathized with them. Did you feel that?
I did. I actually did, yeah. There was a point where he actually, I think there's like a line or two about that.
Did he just felt bad that he got taken advantage of?
Yeah, and then even Robin says it at the end of the episode when he's like, and that fucking dickhead Mockridge got 10 mil.
Yeah.
What?
I don't know if that meant that they felt bad for the Riddler, just more that, like, fuck.
Batman lets him get away, spoiler alert. Like, it's fucking, it's amazing. He's just like, all right, he got away, whatevs. Whatevs. In The Dark Knight, he chases down Han in Hong Kong, who does practically the same maneuver. I'm on a plane right now. Like, Riddler does this in this version, and Batman was like, whatevs.
Yeah, it was
whatevs.
tough. It was after a long day.
Whatevs. By the way, I just want to mention that I think the Riddler is in The Dark Knight. I like to believe that. And his character's name is Coleman Reese, who's referred to constantly in the movie as Mr. Reese. Oh, Mr. Reese. Mysteries. Just like Enigma. Anyways, back to this fucking Wikipedia.
Yeah, I guess you're right, though. They do sympathize, because then they're all, like, mocking the rich guy at the end.
Yeah, they're like jerking off onto his photo at one point, if I recall. It was pretty hardcore. All right, back to what Wikipedia says. Despite successfully rescuing Mockridge, who complete a deal to move his company to Gotham, the incident leaves him in a permanent, all-consuming fear of Nygma's return for revenge. There's a note here, Steve. It says, this episode features the series debut appearance of the Riddler. Absolutely. And a fun fact. When Robin is playing the Minotaur game on the Batcave computer, the majority of the sound effects heard from the game are actually from the NES game Super Mario Brothers 3. Oh, wow. I would have honestly thought Super Mario Brothers, not the third one.
Yeah, I definitely heard Mario Brothers when I heard the sounds. I wonder if they paid for that or if they just like ripped it off. I guess they
They
probably
had to have paid for it. But why does it say 3? Because 3 was like a much more in-depth game with a lot more sounds. That they were using like the most basic like 8-bit sounds in this one.
Oh, you know what was funny? That what I was thinking was like, so this game in this world, they create this like 1 pixel weird game, and then like there's virtual reality like like a few episodes later.
Steve, we already have holograms.
And they
have
have
holograms.
they have these robots and Hardak. Like there's something's going on, unless there's like a throwback.
It's
to
retro.
Those old schools. Yeah, is that what you
It's
think?
a retro game. Yeah,
It's a
exactly.
throwback. All right, I missed that. I guess.
Yeah, it's like how everyone today wants to play Donkey Kong.
Well, for sure. I built an arcade just recently, for that purpose.
Do tell, Steve.
I just did.
Awesome. So as we mentioned earlier, this episode was directed by Eric Radomski, and he is a big part of Batman the Animated Series.
How big is he?
How big is he, Steve? I'll tell you. He is the co-creator. Now, most people like to assume Batman the Animated Series is created by Bruce Timm and Paul Dini. Paul Dini never directed an episode of Batman the Animated Series. He only wrote. He wrote a lot, though, and he was a very influential producer, no question. As well as Bruce Timm, who directed, wrote, and produced. But Eric Radomski, he actually produced and directed a few episodes and actually co-created the show and actually created the visual flair and style of this show. This is a lot based on his, artwork, and when he kind of met up with Bruce Timm, they liked the idea of doing a Tim Burton-styled Batman, timeless, if I recall, like Tim Burton's is, where it felt like it was like a kind of, had a little bit of that 1940s pastiche, and then it's kind of like a amalgamation of like 1980s, early 90s, like tech. And like that sci-fi kind of like, from the 50s even, and sci-fi from future potentially. So they did all this, based around like Tim Burton. And they went further with airships, police airships, blimps, and all that stuff. But one really amazing thing that Eric Radomski did with the show, with the gothic look that he wanted to create with Gotham City, was that he wanted to do this whole show. He had a standing order to the animation department that all backgrounds were going to be painted using light colors on black paper as opposed to the industry standard of dark colors on white paper, which is the distinctive visual combination of noir imagery used in Art Deco designs, and this was called Dark Deco by the producers of the show. Now, I read most of that from Wikipedia, but that's fucking awesome. And this guy, I do not recall this name when I was growing up. I mean, I do recall Bruce Timm, Paul Dini. Those were names I recognized.
Mm-hmm.
But I did not know this man was so influential. And the idea that he painted on black paper is fucking crazy, because it really is what gives this show such a unique persona. I mean, look at the images we're looking at right now. All that matte painting right there is just on black paper, and like how much black stands out.
Yeah, and he was the director of Mask of Phantasm.
Well, so this is his first episode that he directed of the show, and then I think he went on probably directed maybe 3 or 4 more. But yeah, it's a fucking great episode, and it really shows because there's visual quote unquote flair in this episode. There's a moment where Mockridge, where he's like in the lighting grid control room, and his shadow is a fucking question mark.
Uh-huh.
And he's hunched over in a chair, and everyone else has a normal shadow, but his shadow is a fucking question mark. And it's shit like that throughout this episode that makes it so amazing. The little like just hints, the little fun of the question marks in the mazes. When you look at the maze, you see like a question mark in the maze. Like, it's fucking great. And this is I just fucking cannot get enough of Riddler and this style of the show, especially when they go and have fun with the cerebral, like that cerebral fun. Cerebral plots.
Yeah, I like how it's a bit classic setup of the villain. They've kind of used it. I guess the same thing with kind of like Mad Hatter or just or even the Scarecrow. It's like that their bosses are shitty, and they're taking advantage of their intellectual property or whatnot, and they're like, oh gosh, and then they get screwed over. This one is that it's a computer program, and another one of these flat, it's where you really don't know the time frame, because it's like starts off with just introducing Nigma being screwed over, and then it jumps to 2 years. So it's 2 years later, and it has Bruce basically, I guess, buying the company.
Right. Do you think there's a lot of people in Silicon Valley, Steve, that could probably really empathize with this episode?
I think that it's probably maybe it is a kind of like a common problem, is that the employee or like the designer of the program doesn't profit as much.
Okay, that's important. I want to ask you that. All right. So contract law, right? Can Mockridge take literally all of Nigma's intellectual properties, creative conceptions, and thoughts, essentially, and own them?
Well,
based on a contract he signed? Is there a contract that you can sign that can actually essentially just take everything you could ever create?
Well, generally, employers can say, if you're doing it on the job and it was his, what he was being paid, especially in this situation, he was being paid. It sounded like that was what he was being paid for, was making this game. But if it wasn't, but he still just created it in his spare time.
Okay, I got it differently. Yeah, I got it as spare time. The way I read the scene was that this is a game he made on the side,
on the spare,
and they just liked it. I always
to
took
me it wasn't
as
really
this was
clear.
an analogy for 3M and the guy that got the Post-it. You know that story? Okay, so for Cool Boy Nation edification, the simplest way to put it is a dude at 3M came up with an adhesive that didn't really work for anything that they needed it to, so he just put it on the back of paper and just posted them around his office, and it came over to his boss came over, was like, what is that in your cubicle? And he's like, oh, I just post these up, use this little adhesive, and it's just enough for temporary use. And they were like, genius! And they took it, and it was, now it's some fucking $1 billion idea, Post-its, and this guy got nothing except for his basic paycheck.
I'm sure he got a bonus.
I don't know if he got a bonus. Did you know if he got a bonus? I thought the story was he didn't get shit. That's like a beautiful romantic story, though, right?
Yeah. But generally, yeah, that's if you're working for your employer and you're on your spare time doing something on your employer's time, and that's something that's related to the job or whatnot, yeah, that's their intellectual property. So you have to be careful with that. When I was working for a video game company as a video game tester, and the people that I worked with, a lot of them were aspiring, video game designers, and they were all warned, basically not to work on their video game while in the office, because if they do and it's somehow successful, that the company that we worked for, could basically try and seek some sort of portion or seek rights to it because it was created while they were working there. So it's you just always have to be careful in that situation. And unfortunately, he got screwed over. But the law isn't it doesn't always favor the just, I guess, unfortunately.
Cool. Well, we have the Riddler. We've missed a lot while watching this right now, talking about that. But
yeah.
We have the Riddler now in the episode, full in the episode. He's played by John Glover, who was in Gremlins 2, The New Batch, and Scrooge. I definitely recognize the voice. But he would later be in Batman and Robin 5 years later as the scientist guy that Poison Ivy kind of works for and then kills.
Oh, interesting.
The guy that creates Bane or some shit.
I did want to mention the video game that they did make. It was so cheesy, I guess. That Robin.
So cheesy, Steve.
Robin is played on the back computer.
I love it because Batman's behind him, pacing. Batman's pacing behind him, just repeating the riddle over and over again. Steve, do you have the riddle written down?
No, I don't.
I do, Steve, and I'm going to test you on the riddle. Ready? The first riddle from the Riddler is, why do multi-million-dollar deals break down in the wasteland? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're so hot. Yeah, I don't. Where did they go?
To the wasteland.
Was it a bar or something like that?
It's a nightclub.
A nightclub?
By the way, Wasteland is a horrible fucking name for a nightclub. I would be like, well, I don't want to go there. It sounds like a bunch of roofies. It sounds like a bunch of roofies are just dropped in your drink all night long. I'm getting wasted, you know.
But I remember as a kid watching Robin play that game and definitely being like, I relate to Robin. I play video games.
Fucking
And,
Robin's a gamer, man.
Yeah, I was like, what? Yeah, me too. I could be a crime fighter.
Yeah, but Steve, you're not playing video games on a $50 million back computer. I love that Alfred just drops that number like right on like dick.
Well,
$50 million back computer.
that's because it could hack into the police. I like to pretend that I was, but you're right. Way to shatter my dreams, my fake
Yeah, I know,
dreams.
really. And then one of the things we see, Steve, is that when the Riddler's revealed, Batman and Robin jump through the skylight. And one of the things I started just thinking from episode to episode recently, or just this whole time really, is I think the best company to run in all of Gotham City is a skylight installation company. I mean, you'd be constantly getting work. Like, oh, I gotta go do this stained glass thing. Oh, I gotta go do this other one in an apartment. I gotta go do this one in a mansion. I gotta go do this one in a corporation office downtown. Because Batman and Robin are busting through skylights every day.
Yeah, without a care, they do. They don't, you know.
It's dangerous. They
it's
can be
pretty
killing
cool
people
looking,
below them in the process.
It's very dramatic.
It is. It's so dramatic. That's the point, though, really, right? That's the whole reason Batman does
It's
what he does.
flair, yeah. I mean,
Flair,
they have
baby.
capes. They don't really need capes either to be crime fighters.
They don't. And then Batman and Robin get into a fight with these Riddler's hired goons, and Robin kicks one of the hired goons, Steve, in the ass, and then he literally smiles. And I was like, childish humor. This is disgusting.
I love that Batman has this like wrist computer. He has like a Palm
Yes!
Pilot thing on
Oh,
his.
he calls it. He actually gives it a name.
It's like the Bat
called
Palm or something.
No. I have a Palm Top computer.
Yeah.
The Palm Top computer. I love it. He rocks the Palm Top computer all the time. It is way better than the Power Glove. And then we have an electrical fire again, of course, because you can't have an episode without an electrical fire. And we get the Riddler's license plate, Steve, as he peels out. It is question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. And you know what I thought immediately? I was like, that should be real easy to track down because there's not many registered license plates, I'm sure, that are 4 question marks. Probably 1. And you can know immediately, who it is. But Batman kind of already knows who it is.
He knew. He doesn't care.
He doesn't give a shit. He feels bad for Edward.
In this world, people just dress up. So he's just like, whatever. I've created like a world where I dress up, so other people just decided to dress up when they're mad.
Well, we do get in like an episode from now a Joker mobile, like a legit Joker mobile that exists. So yeah, I guess you're right. Very good point. Astute, Steve. Very astute. So we just passed the moment where Mockridge's shadow was the, at the lighting grid switches control station was a question mark. And we also have our second riddle. Steve, the second riddle goes, when is the Minotaur's owner as high as an elephant's eye? Woo! At 420!
I suck at riddles. So
Yeah,
I suck at riddles.
yeah. The answer, Steve, is maize.
Yeah.
Corn. It's an Oklahoma song. Batman doesn't say Oklahoma, but
Oh yeah,
it's
it lives
Oklahoma.
corn. It makes so
Yeah.
much sense.
So much sense. Yeah, and then they go into the maze. The maze is badass.
I like,
and I love the
though,
maze.
They really did a lot of sort of educational moments in this episode where
They do.
like,
Oh yeah.
he's like maze, and what's another word for maze?
No,
Corn.
no.
He's like,
No, he says corn, and then he says maze.
okay.
Yeah. And he talks about how, like, in in the Middle East, how, you eat to the right or whatever, you eat with your right hand. So that's why, because you wipe your ass with your left hand. You didn't say that part, but that's the other part of that. That's why you eat with your right? Because I think you wipe your ass with your left or some shit.
Man, I would. I'm a much better righty with that sort of control.
You wipe your ass with your right hand?
Well, I'm a right-handed person, right?
Ew! I'm never shaking your hand again.
Well,
Ew!
I wash my hands.
Ow. Ow. Ow.
So this basically means that you don't wash your hands?
I wash my hands, but I still don't wipe my ass with my right hand. That's disgusting.
Really?
No, I wipe my ass with my feet. Anyway, Steve, so we get a sign that says losers ahead. But if you say it silly, it's loses ahead.
I like that.
And then we
one.
get an Indiana Jones of the Last Crusade style fucking shit.
It was nice. I
The
like
booby
it.
trap is straight out of Indiana Jones of the Last Crusade.
One of the questions I had watching all this was, I guess it's the question that you always have is like, how the hell did these villains set this up? Like, that's, where you really need to know is like,
He had 2 years, Steve.
well,
No. I agree with shit like next week when we have like the Joker literally like just break out of prison and then immediately has like everything he needs. Like, no, this one, Riddler had 2 years.
Still,
2 years.
like, how is he able to set up this, like, maze garden and, like,
oh,
a
dude,
gold
Flash
Minotaur?
games on the internet. He's
He
creating
has no
Flash
money.
games on the internet that people are totally downloading.
He has
He's
no-
getting a little bit of money.
He has
you
no
know.
internet at this time.
Oh, yeah. Dude, he's a genius. He can do Flash games on the internet in a heartbeat. Hey, Steve.
Yes.
We had a Steve-sponsored cliffhanger act break where Griffin was about to fireball their ass.
Mm-hmm.
Steve, what happened?
Classic. And then you know what? It seems like they're about to die, and then Batman's just like, hey, I'm going to just use the Griffins on each other.
Yeah, he runs back in the hallway he was just in.
Simple. I always love it, though. You're like, well, how are they going to get out of it? And then it's just like, oh, never mind.
Never mind. Yeah, and then we have another little like maze riddle, right? The one where it's the keys. I don't know anything about music, so this was lost on me as a child, and still this day as a grown child.
Oh, yeah,
I
like
just
the
was like,
flats
I don't know
or
what the fuck
whatever.
they're talking about. Keys? Music doesn't have keys. Music is a song. That's what I was
You
like.
you just get mad when you don't know something.
I do. I get really mad. I punch things.
Most of the stuff I didn't know, so I was like, "Ooh, that's neat." Now I learned it. Not like
Music is song, Batman. Music is song.
wow. Yeah, I generally try to tell my kids at least like, don't get mad when you don't know something.
For sure. Well, we have, our third riddle, right, coming up after Batman rides the fucking hand of fate, the golden hand of fate.
Yeah. What was that riddle?
Are you ready for it, Steve?
I've been waiting.
I have millions of eyes, yet I live in darkness. I have millions of ears, yet only 4 lobes. I have no muscles, yet I rule 2 hemispheres. What am I?
The brain or something like that.
Oh! Ding ding!
But yeah, he goes on and like says all this bunch of like science around that, which is also very educational.
Yup.
This was a good episode.
Education rules. Science rules.
If they throw it in a good way, I'm totally down for it.
Fuck yeah, man. I would call this as homework. I'd be like, fuck yeah, homework's done today.
Watch, Mom, come here. This is why I watched this episode. Why I watched this show. Then throws it in.
I actually love this episode. I love this whole ending with the maze. I really do.
This Minotaur. I just kept asking myself, though. I'm sorry to interrupt. That
No, go ahead. Please, just say it.
how did he build all this? Like, he has a Minotaur that is, like, robotic and swinging at him and following them and a flying
2
hand.
years.
He's
Got 2 years to build this Minotaur.
And then suddenly Batman's able to hack. I love Batman's, like, hacking abilities. It's very silly.
Fuck yeah, palm top computer, Steve.
He has the Palm Pilot.
Woo woo. Oh, dude, it's badass. He's got the fucking power glove. That's even more powerful than any power glove.
Any other thoughts on the episode? Oh yeah, it was kind of fun.
I have one more note, really. That's about it. So.
I did think it was fun that so the Riddler escapes. He was like never there.
Yeah, he was on the plane just chilling like a villain.
And Batman. So you wanted Batman to like follow him and like off to where his next place was?
I like that the Riddler just flat out got away. He won.
Mm-hmm.
He like won. Because like, so the episode ends, and what? It's the first time we see Bruce make a major corporate buyout, right? It's the first time we've seen anything real businessy that he's done. We've talked about things, but
and
never
he's just
done
yawning
anything.
throughout it. He doesn't care.
And then Steve, right? So after buying Competitron, right? He brings in $5.5 million of new jobs a year. That's amazing. So that's like a really good ending. So it's a win.
Wait,
right? So the Riddler helped
he kind of
that.
used Batman to get like insider information on
Dude,
Buckridge.
Steve. Okay. Is that illegal?
Yeah, that's totally illegal. Like, not only is he a vigilante, then he's going there. He probably like underbid them afterwards after he found out.
Oh fuck! Dun dun. That's badass, dude. Batman's shady as fuck. He gets shady as fuck in a few episodes. No, next week's episode with Joker, he's shady as fuck. But I like this ending, Steve, because it's so dark. It's dark as fuck ending.
It's a sad ending. I felt bad for the businessman.
Mockridge's life is ruined.
He's just trying to make some money.
He made $10 million and his life is ruined.
I know. You know what? With $10 million, you think he would be able to hire a guard and like some pretty good security, or like just live a good life. I
Especially in '92, right?
Yeah. He lives by himself. That also doesn't make sense. He has this like.
He's got 10 locks on his door, and he goes to bed with a shotgun, with a pump action shotgun in his bed.
Was the lock? Was he locking his bedroom door, or do you think he was locking like his apartment door?
Dude, that's even fucking like shadier, man. He's got that many locks on his bedroom door. He's like Scrooge, man. Ebenezer. He's fucked for life. That sucks. And Batman, Bruce is just laughing his ass off with Robin. He's like, yeah, it sucks that he got $10 million, but with a good safe night's worth. And he's like, he's fucked. He's fucked, yo. I give it 5 out of 5. Boys. And real quick, why? Introduction of the Riddler. Enough said. No, I mean, really, though, I really like the Riddler because he's a cerebral villain. I think Batman loves the Joker, but gets frustrated with the Joker. Like, he's just like, oh, fuck, again. But he's kind of like, he's always ribbing him. He's always ribbing him a little bit. Mm-hmm. But other villains, I think, piss Batman off a lot. Like, I think, or he gets really sad about them. And it's kind of like, I don't need your pity party, Batman. But, like, the Penguin is someone, he's just like, oh, fuck the Penguin, dude. Penguin again. Or, oh, fuck, man, Scarecrow again. But then it's like Clayface is like, oh, Clayface, I'm so sorry. Oh, what's out good? I'm so sorry. But the Riddler is the only time I feel that Batman's like, all right, game on, bitches, let's do it. And I just love that persona of Batman that we don't get normally.
What about Catwoman? He kind of likes the cat and mouse with Catwoman.
Yes, absolutely, he does. But that's sex. Like, he wants sex there.
Yeah.
He doesn't want sex with the Riddler. That's a tete-a-tete that he's just having with the Riddler. That's a much different tete-a-tete
he probably does enjoy those riddles.
Well, Steve, what did you give the episode?
I would give it 5 as well. It was fun. I thought it was, like you said, really well directed, and you could see that this was just a good episode, and you could see why it was made it to prime time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a labor of love, and it shows, especially when you think about a character given 2 years for him to build a maze and all these great robots. Like, it's very, very plausible.
Yeah, that's not
very plausible. It's more plausible than literally the Joker jumping out of prison and then having everything he needs in Christmas with the Joker.
Well, yeah. That he just has like people waiting for him on the other side, right?
Yeah, he's just got an incredible corporation going on, essentially. Mm-hmm. Like a fucking really super underground, like,
they're just dedicated,
massive world of thousands of people working, and engineers and all kinds of secretaries and fucking, executives. There's a whole executive wing of all these people that probably show up in somewhat clown makeup every day in their suits and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's how I picture it.
And there's all these cubicles out in the middle of this floor, right? And all these people that show up every day to work just to help out Joker when he breaks immediately out of prison and have
they're feeding his
guns,
hyenas.
Giant like nutcrackers, and massive cannons, and a whole fucking soundstage ready to go to do a show about fucking Daddy Lawful, Mommy Lawful, and Baby Lawful Awful, or whatever the fuck they were called, the Lawful Awful family. Mm-hmm. Christmas with the Joker. Yeah, I think so. Joker next week.
I'm excited. Stay tuned.
Great stuff, Steve.
It was okay stuff.
Aw.
I'm just teasing. It was fun. It was great stuff.
Great stuff.
Great stuff.
Okay, good. Great bat stuff, Steve. Cool Boy Nation. Tune in next week. Same Cool Bat time. Same Cool Bat channel. Cool Boy Bat Nation, be sure to let us bat know what you bat thought of if you're so smart. Why Aren't You Rich? Or what your favorite Bat episode is by emailing us at batmanandbeyondcoolboys@gmail.com. New episodes come out every Tuesday. Also, please check out our other great Cool Boy Central content with the Cool Boys Podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, and Patreon. Be sure to like and subscribe to the Cool Boys. Also, review us on iTunes. You can donate to us on Patreon. It only costs $1, and you will receive special access to content too hot to air. You can find the Cool Boys on Patreon at www.patreon.com/coolboyspodcast. Thank you for listening. Stay cool, Cool Boy Bat Nation. Until next time, it's Byzies from Ballard.
And Byzies from Steven.
So cool.
Batman
And beyond.
Oh, yeah.
Batman
and beyond.